Hello YouTube. Today's video is going to be about why I left the political left. So this is, as they say, my walk away video. So before I tell the story as to how I ended up leaving the left, I want to say that I don't consider myself anything politically as of this moment. Um, if someone were to ask me what I am, I would say I don't like labels, I don't like being put in a box, I don't like boxes. And I just value truth, and wherever it lands, it lands. If it lands on the left or the right, if it lands in a radical position or a moderate position, I'll go where it goes. And that's why my mind changes all the time, because I prefer to take in new information, and once it knocks down a belief I have that I think is a good argument and a better argument than I have, then I change my mind. And that is why I ended up changing my mind from being on the left. So, I guess you could say I'm politically fluid, as Coleman Hughes once said. And I thought that should have been picked up because that's such a good term. I'm politically fluid. I think that goes well. I go where truth goes. Um, so our story begins at my first job, which is a place called Pizza X South. So I'm not going to say anybody's names here because I didn't ask anyone for permission, and I feel like it's not right for me to use their names if I didn't ask them. But there was a kid there who I worked with who was like a big meme dude. This is what's really funny is I left the left through a meme. So usually it's like some big, like huge, like epiphany moment for people, and for me there were those moments. But where it started was I left it through a meme. So you guys will understand once I explain it. But it's just kind of funny to me that it happened through a meme. But there was a dude that I worked with who was really big into memes. And he used to say all the time, just randomly, he had some weird, odd sense of humor that just kind of grew on you. You didn't understand it at first, but eventually it grew on you. At least it did for me. And he used to say just things randomly, like Ben Shapiro destroys dumb libtard with facts and logic. And, it was just little stupid things like that. And at the time, when someone said the name Ben Shapiro, I thought, oh, that's that homophobic woman hater dude who supports conversion therapy. And so I don't know. I will say even today, I don't know if this dude was being ironic or not. I think he said he was, but I also think maybe he's also seen some videos of Ben Shapiro, and maybe he doesn't think something bad about him, but maybe he does. I don't know. So I'm not going to decide for him what it is because I don't know what he believes. But the point is, he used to say these like meme jokes all the time. This Ben Shapiro destroys dumb libtard just as like a joke. How I saw it was as like oh, those conservatives think that they're actually the ones that have facts and logic. Like it was this irony that's what made it funny to me, and also just the stupidity of the oh, you got owned. Like it was just a stupid joke of conservatives thinking that they're right and they're the one using scientific facts, right? So, um, one day I caught on to this joke, and I remember looking up on YouTube one night when I wasn't at work because I added this dude on Snapchat eventually, and I remember looking up Ben Shapiro destroys dumb libtard with facts and logic, and I put like all the caps in where they belong, destroys and facts and logic, and I did it hopefully hoping to find some sort of montage of memes making fun of Ben Shapiro, so I could send it to him and we could laugh about it. It was really just simple as that. I was bored that night, whatever. Let's just have a fun time. Let's just joke about it. Um, but then I came across a video of a lot videos down that was a genuine Ben Shapiro video. It wasn't a video making fun of him. It wasn't all the memes. It was an actual video from Ben Shapiro's page, and it said Ben Shapiro destroys the abortion argument. And it's obviously a clickbait title. It still is. I still don't like those titles. But the thing about me at the time, this was over 2 years ago at this point, was that, I've never been someone who's been like far left. Like I've always been someone who sort of made fun of both the left and the right. I always saw the idiocy in both of those. I've always been someone who tried not to identify too much with something. But if someone would have asked me at the time, I probably would have said I was like center left. And that's fine. But looking back, I think I kind of flirted with the line between being far left and then moderately left. Like I kind of flirted with that line, and sometimes I was a reasonable left, and sometimes I wasn't. And it just, I think a lot of times the unreasonableness came from the brainwashing and ignorance that I had gone through from our culture in our social media that is so biased towards the left. So, but generally, I really was. Even looking back, like I don't think I was as far left as some people I see today are, but I still was someone who thought Ben Shapiro was like almost a Nazi, almost like I thought this dude was a bad person. But I remember at the time I was looking at. I remember even then I had questions about abortion that I never dared speak out loud. Like even as someone who I identified as pro-choice, but my stance was sort of like I'm personally pro-life, but I believe in choice. Um, that was kind of my stance at the time. But even in my head, I kind of knew there was something odd about this dialogue about abortion in our culture that was really unsettling to me. But again, I never dared say that out loud. So when I came across that video that said Ben Shapiro destroys the abortion argument, I'll put some videos in the description that were sort of some of the videos that kind of woke me up. There's been a lot more since then, but those were just kind of maybe the first few, and I'll show you. So I remember thinking, maybe the conservatives are wrong about almost everything else, but maybe the conservatives are right about this. Like I remember thinking in my head something like, look, they could be wrong about every single other issue, everything. Even then I didn't think that. Again, I was still more center left moderately. Like I wasn't, but I was always someone who saw how stupid both parties are, and I still do see that. But I just remember thinking, maybe they have this one right. And so I think it's that encouraged me to click on the video. And also, I've always been someone who wanted to listen to people I disagree with. Like, I've always been someone who wants to hear the other person, even if I think they're a bad person, because I want to see how they think so that I can have a stronger argument. I've always been a scientific minded person. I've always been scientifically minded like that. I mean, I have other temperaments as well, but I do try to surround myself. I try not to be in an echo chamber, even though at the time, in retrospect, I know that I was. But so that's another reason is I just wanted to. I know that in every pool of lie, there's some truth, and you can also have a stronger argument when you hear it. Um, but I think it was also the fact that it was about abortion. Like maybe if it was about something else that I wasn't skeptical of, maybe I would have never clicked on the video. But because it was about abortion, something in me, I can't really explain it, but something was just like, just click on it. And so I did. And I watched it. And the thing about the video, maybe I was expecting some like hick, because God says so kind of person. Maybe that's why I was so surprised. But even looking at the video, I realized I never even knew who Ben Shapiro was. I had so many opinions about him. I didn't even know what he looked like. I remember looking at the video and thinking, this dude looks like a liberal. Now I know now that there's no such thing as looks like a liberal or looks like a conservative. I know that now. But at the time, it was like he just looked too liberal to have this reputation that I had in my mind of him, someone who I had never even actually looked up and listened to. And I think what it was is that everything I had subconsciously questioned but never dared speak out loud or never consciously was aware of those subconscious like skepticism that I had about our dialogue, he said out loud. Everything like the idea that obviously like you have the right to your body, but it's not what's in your body isn't your body. Like I don't care about your liver. It's the thing it's the other human life in the body that I care about. Or the question of yes, obviously using like he talked about Mike Pence quoting the Bible. He said I haven't quoted the Bible once because I don't think the Bible is the right textbook for him. He actually had like a fetal development textbook on the screen, and he was going through all these arguments and pointing out how the difference between if you killed it outside the womb at that time, you'd be charged with murder, but inside the womb, and we call it a human right. And I was just like, everything I subconsciously knew, he spoke. And so that was like the very first, as they say, red pill moment. I know it's like some people are going to roll their eyes, but it's just true. That was the moment that I was like, wow, like this dude is saying everything I subconsciously knew. Again, it wasn't consciously, because at this point I still identified as pro-choice, even though I knew something was weird about it, and I never dared speak out loud. And now looking back, I know how scary it is that I felt that scared to say my opinion out loud. Something is very wrong in our culture, because I know there's got to be a lot of other people out there who are like that, like the person I once was. And I realize it's not normal to be scared to speak that much. This is a huge free speech issue. This is not normal. And so I'm a big advocate for free speech. And I've always believed in free speech, even then. But now I see how much it's being threatened today. Um, so, and I want to say that if you're pro choice watching this, that's fine. I mean, I think that there is an unreasonable pro choice moment. I really don't see how a reasonable person, or excuse me, pro choice position, I don't understand how a reasonable person and moral person can like support abortion before the babies do or something. Just like I don't see how a reasonable person can advocate for like banning birth control or something. It's like those are pro life and pro choice unreasonable positions. But I think there is a reasonable pro choice position, though I think the pro life position is stronger. I still do. But so if you disagree with me on that, that's fine. But I'm just letting you know that that was one of my red pill moments. And and then I started looking up him. I started looking him up more. And I want to make something clear. At this point, I literally thought this dude was a homophobic, woman hater, you know, far right conservative supporter of conversion therapy. And I didn't even know the dude. And it's so interesting because I considered myself to be an open minded person at the time. And in a way, I was. I was just so brainwashed by everything. So, what I realized, I want to make something clear, I guess, that I didn't become a fan of Ben Shapiro, and I say fan, it's not like sports, but I just mean I'm glad that he exists. I think he's a good voice for modern conservatism. For too long, the Republican Party has quoted the Bible and had all of these unreasonable reasons for things, and I think that he's a good conservative voice. He's a voice that uses reason, and obviously you have to have some things on assumptions. At some point, you have to make an assumption about the world. Something has to be taken on faith or assumption. But and after that, reason is I think what you need. So I think he's a good. He never quotes the Bible. He really tries not to because he understands that every law should have a secular justification, and I appreciate that. Um, so I think that he's a good voice for conservatism because of that. But I want to make something clear that I don't suddenly support Ben Shapiro because I am now homophobic and I do now support conversion therapy and I am now a woman hater or something. I support Ben Shapiro because I realized he isn't any of those things. So if everything I'd heard about Ben Shapiro was maybe just like a half lie, maybe then I wouldn't have had such a whoa epiphany kind of moment, and I don't use that word a whole lot. But it was the fact that everything I'd heard was the complete opposite of the truth. Like almost everything. So like Ben Shapiro was an alt-righter. Turns out he was the number one target of the alt-right. It was like, whoa, okay, that's crazy. Like Ben Shapiro is a woman hater. Turns out like this doesn't mean he's not a woman hater, though I know he's not. But like his wife is a doctor and he grew up in a house where his dad stayed at home and his mom worked. It was just like if everything was only half truth, maybe I wouldn't have had this moment. But it was the fact that it was the complete opposite of the truth that woke me up to how brainwashed I was. Now, I don't agree with Ben Shapiro on everything today, but I know that he doesn't believe his things because he's evil, dumb, or ignorant, or brainwashed. Like, he has reasons he believes it, and they're not because he's evil either. Now, I will say that Ben Shapiro does believe that homosexual activity is a sin. He believes it's immoral. But he's not, like, when I used to think of a homophobic person, I think of someone who's like on the streets at the gay pride parade holding a sign saying "You will burn in hell," something like that. And there are people out there like that. And I think that they're a sad excuse for a Christian or whatever they believe, and they're not a good person. But Ben Shapiro's stance is he thinks it's immoral the same way that some people believe that having sex outside of marriage is immoral. Like he just believes it's another sin. He doesn't believe in dictating that people can't do it because it's a free country. He's okay with hanging out with gay people. Dave Rubin is a gay man who is a host of the Rubin Report. You guys should totally watch the show. That's a lot of those woke me up too. And Dave Rubin went through this sort of waking up moment as well. A lot of people have. So he does believe it's a sin, and I don't agree with him on that. I don't personally believe it's immoral, but he does, but it's not the way in which like I thought. It's just like he believes it's a sin. He doesn't believe that he's not like looking on them in judgment. If it's just like it's my personal opinion, but you're still a human being of equal value to me, and you don't believe it's a sin, and we're allowed to disagree. And he's not trying to support conversion therapy. He doesn't support conversion therapy, and it was just like I saw how the media totally blew his image way out of proportion. Like I thought this dude was like sending gay people to camps to be shocked every night, basically. Like, and it was just such an eye opener. And I had also watched videos of Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson helped me in other ways that aren't political, they're personal, but also political too. I learned about like how this idea of when you sort of I knew this because I'd been in therapy so much in my life, but when you push something down, it comes back stronger. And he talked about how a lot of men today push their masculinity down because they're told it's evil, basically. And what that ends up doing is creating negative masculinity and creating people that have more fascistic traits. And I had a boss at the time at this Pizza X job that was like an extremely far left dude. Like I had said, this is not even exaggeration. I was rolling breadsticks with him one day and I said, men and women are different. And he said, that's sexist. Like I didn't even say how. Like I could have just meant genitalia. Like I didn't. But I totally could have because I didn't clarify. And he was also someone who like had very narcissistic traits. He always thought he was better than everyone and he never had anything good to say to anyone. You can tell he always thought that he like knew more and was superior. If there is such a thing as toxic masculinity, which I do agree there is negative and positive masculinity and negative and positive femininity, you can go back and look at my toxic masculinity. Is toxic masculinity real video on my channel? But when we talk about the negative forms of masculinity, like he had them. And there were other things that Jordan Peterson had talked about, and Ben Shapiro had talked about, and Coleman Hughes, this was later on, but Coleman Hughes talked about, and Dave Rubin talked about that maybe if I didn't also see that in my personal life, maybe again I wouldn't have had such a huge effect on me. But it was the fact that like all these specific examples that they had talked about suddenly started popping up in my life everywhere. My family and my work and my friends, and it was like, and you losing Facebook friends, everyone's story on the Rubin Report was so similar to mine with the bullying and the unfriending and the arguments they use that the people talked about they use and how evil or just ignorant they are. And it was just a really big aha moment. And it was it was just so interesting to go through that because I mean I had always been someone who was never like I always saw like idiocy on both sides, but I never realized how crazy this was. And I want to say that I didn't just watch some clip of Ben Shapiro from like a Now This video on Facebook, which is so obviously far left and lies all the time, has a far left bias. I'm sure every once in a while they tell the truth, just like Fox is biased as well. Fox News is biased towards the right. There's honestly no such thing as an unbiased source anymore. It's very rare, but I went to his page. I didn't watch some Media Matters, Now This, ABC, MSNBC, New York Times article or video about Ben Shapiro. I went to his YouTube channel. And I didn't just go to his YouTube channel and watch one 10-minute video. I watched hour-long videos, his Sunday specials, where he's much more civil. He tends to be more combative, meaning not physically, but he's very much more of a disagreeable person when he's in debate, but you're supposed to be. If you guys want to go see what I'm talking about, go watch his Sunday special. I'll put some of them in the description. He's much more of a civil person there. I don't think he's an uncivil person in everywhere else, but he's at his best there, I would say. And if you're open to changing your mind, that's where you're probably going to end up changing it. And I'll put other videos in there too. And I didn't just watch 1 hour long video either. I watched tons. Like I was watching many every single day. And then, of course, as the YouTube algorithm works, I started seeing other videos. But then I saw videos get banned, and it's everything everyone was saying. I was seeing. I saw the banning of conservative voices. I saw how, like, even until recently, I still thought that Mike Pence supported conversion therapy. Mike Pence, generally, like, not like a huge fan of still, but I don't think he's like an evil gay hater like I used to. I just think he's just. I don't agree with him on everything, but I don't think that my disagreement is because I'm a moral superior person and he's evil and hates gays or something and supports conversion therapy. So even until like I'm still trying to deconstruct this mindset that I had. So yeah, I watched their videos and I didn't just watch some because something can sound bad in a 10-minute clip or a 2-minute clip or 50-second clip or even an hour clip. But when you see everything out of context and you don't know the entire philosophy behind what they're saying, it can sound bad. But then you watch other videos and you put all the pieces together and it makes sense. You know, I didn't just watch. I watched a ton. I did a crap ton of research, and I learned a lot, guys, and I changed my mind. And now I will say I don't consider myself anything. I really don't. Like I don't want the label. I feel like when you give yourself a label that invites other people to give you all the baggage that comes along with that label. And so I don't want that. I just want people to treat me as an individual. Um but I will say that I do find myself agreeing with conservatives more today. And maybe if it was 60 years ago, maybe I would find myself agreeing more with liberals. But it's not. The culture has changed, and the way the what the left is supposed to be for the people, they're not anymore. They're for, and I say left. I distinguish between liberal and left. The liberal is a leftist is someone who doesn't believe you should be allowed to speak if you disagree with them, and they believe in cramming down the government down your throat to silence you. A liberal is someone who disagrees with conservatives sometimes, but believes they have the right to speech and the right to free speech, and just because they disagree doesn't mean they're evil. So that's the distinction that I make. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to share that because I'm not gonna go through everything that I changed my mind on because it's a lot, and but I still believe I want to say that all my values are the same. They really are. It's just that I realize where my values land is not where I thought they did. So I'll probably make another video another time about more specifics as to how I ended up changing my mind and instances that I think back that I realized I actually was more conservative. I just didn't know it. But that's a video for another time. But I hope that this meant something to you guys. I will put those videos in the description. And this is maybe just part one of a video. I'll probably do a part two another day. It won't be today. But um, yeah, I hope you guys watch the videos and just hear me out. I mean, just hear me out. Be open minded. Be open minded and do your own research. But that is why I walked away.